All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another one of our podcasts. If you are living in the United States, how many of you are feeling a little tense, nervous, or maybe excited about this upcoming election that's coming up next week? Many of you have heard the news. There's some people that are excited about the prospects. Some people are feeling fearful. I wonder what some of your fears or what your concerns are as citizens and residents of this country. What does this have to do with how our feelings work, how we behave, how we think? These are questions I'm posing to you because today I want to try to wrestle with some of those questions because one of the things that we're noticing is that times of elections or similar activities like that produce anxiety, produce different types of feelings of dread, fear, concern, and especially with some of the rhetoric we've seen with the politics of the United States. Some of the issues are important to various sides of the various issues. People are, and it seems from my last heard the news that the race is still quite tight with the American politics, and that is producing anxiety to different types of people on different sides of the aisle. And again, today I'm not here to talk about my own politics. Again, I didn't grow up in this country, so my politics are a little weird. But more than that is how do I help the average person who's in this process, who lives here, whose decisions of the country affect them? How do we deal with the anxiety in times of election? Because this is a stressful time. And one of the things is we hope to gain how do this how do we explore this political discourse and how it impacts our mental health and focuses on healthy ways to manage anxiety and build resilience. Again, one of the things that I thrive on is I want to give you practical things you can do to be healthy. Because when that day comes and we do our civic duty, we want to be able to walk in it the least anxious and the most confident as possible. So let's get going. Again, if you are live or if later on you have any questions, please leave a comment. Please like our page, share our information and our podcast. And you have the information in the description. And please contact us because we want to answer any question you have. Or if there's any topic that is interesting to you, please let us know. We would love to connect with you and give you some resources on how to be emotionally, mentally, and relationally healthy and well. So let's get to it. So let's start out. The impact of political discourse on mental health. Here's what it does to us. A couple of things. First, it creates increased stress and anxiety. Why? Because there's heated political debates. There's issues that people have very different ideas and values on. And that can, especially with our politics being very polarized, that creates significant stress levels and that produces anxiety down the road. Another way that this discourse and the way the politics are leading to this election can cause issues of sleep disturbances, right? Issues with sleeping. The context influx of news, we got our phones active with NPR, all the different news outlets. A lot of seems very sensationalized. Social media with different comments and groups and videos and TikToks. And all that information and the stress it causes can lead to fatigue, high anxiety, and it starts to affect our sleep patterns. The other thing it does and how it affects us mentally is it creates a social disconnection, especially in the age of social media. One, because political differences can really be strained and have some very wide gaps in differences. And sometimes the way we relate to those and how it relates to people we know and care about can cause tension. We may have a family member who's it's maybe, I don't know, here we use the terms conservative and conservative or liberal. Let's say that your uncle is one and you're part of the other party. You have different values on a certain issue. That can cause issues, that can cause conflict, that can cause stress. Many of us thinking about the holidays. Oh man, which uncle, which cousin am I going to have to avoid and deal with? So it creates a disconnection and feeling of isolation, loneliness, feeling like no one understands us, right? So it creates these three major impacts in your mental health. And think about this. Why mental health? Why is that so important? Remember, this organ in the brain impacts how you view the world, what you feel, what you think, how you operate. So your mental health is very important. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's see if this works. All right. So here's some of the physiological effects that I think is good for us to understand and how it affects how this political discourse and this coming election affects us. So one, it triggers a fight or flight response. So what is a fight or flight response? Is when we're faced with a situation, we either decide to fight it, which means to deal with it. It doesn't mean actually punch somebody. Please don't punch people, right? But you decide, I'm going to face it. I'm going to confront it. I'm going to deal with it. Or flight, be like, I'm running away. I am not dealing with this. I'm going to distract, distract, distract. And this instinct, this response happens when we're stressed. And when we're stressed, our body releases hormones like adrenaline, cortisol that are preparing us for action, right? So this is a common response you might find, even though you may not be in a physical danger situation, right? Another way it affects us physiologically is increased heart rate and blood pressure. Okay. These hormones trigger physiological chances of increased alertness and energy, but that long term prolonged stress can lead to health problems. For some of us, it's heart problems. I think the word, if I translate away from Spanish, is tachycardia or like high, like the different types of heart issues, heart attack, um, high blood pressure is the term I'm looking for. Sorry. Bilingual people, our languages cross, and sometimes we have to kind of play tag along with our languages. So, so it does affect our heart rate and our blood pressure. The other aspect that affects physiologically is it weakens our immune system. Chronic stress suppresses the immune system, making us more susceptible to being sick and different illnesses. So not only is it a mental thing, but it affects us physiologically as well. Okay. Now, to the skills. Again, I want to give you some ways that you can handle this, that you can, strategies, as I like to use, that's to call them, to maintain your well-being and emotional well-being. Number one, please bear with me. I know it's going to be tough for some of you. Limit your news consumption. Avoid overwhelming yourself with all the constant updates and blings and take a break. Engage in activities that you enjoy. Okay. If we go by all that media is throwing us, it can really start to feel like everything is what's happening out there. And there's also stuff happening in your life. Enjoy it. You got family, you got things, relationships you got to take care of. You got your health you got to take care of. Limit the consumption of news outlets, especially if they're news outlets that seem to create a polarized view. And I'll be honest, I've seen in both sides of the USA politics where people really consume news and get really obsessed. And it doesn't seem healthy because, again, it makes you feel like that's all there is. So, so strategy one, limit your news consumption. I know it's hard for some of you, but I encourage you. It's going to be helpful. Practice mindfulness and relaxation techniques. I tell my clients, a lot of my clients weekly, like, yo, mindfulness, relaxation technique, breath work are things that are going to long-term help you emotionally, mentally, and physically be better. Engage in things like mindfulness exercise, deep breathing. If you there's different methods in YouTube, different apps that give you ways of breathing that are made to calm, relax you, and focus you. Use yoga or meditation. That's what you're into. Sorry, what you are into. Because all these things tend to reduce stress and anxiety. Okay. So, third strategy, connect with supportive individuals, man. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a therapist. I've been seeing a lot of people have been processing some of their fears about the political rhetoric and the upcoming election. And I've been working on them how to help them lower that anxiety, be able to think more clearly, how to be able to be healthy in the way they approach certain topics of politics so that they're heard and understood and they can also be long life learners, right? So having friends that you can have those conversations with are very helpful. If you don't, therapists is there as well. For some of us who tend to be more of the religious grounds, priests or pastors are also someone that you can come to if that level of spirituality is comfortable for you. But you got to find a place where you can let out some of these feelings with trust. Okay. The fourth and final strategy is to engage in healthy habits. Prioritize sleep, move around, exercise. I know I am not the embodiment of exercise, but at least 2, 3 times a week, I'm doing something, either a quick weight training, walking around, moving with the kids. We got a trampoline in the backyard. We're doing something. Try to eat a balanced diet, at least eat healthy food uh, to maintain physically well. And also, especially as it's getting colder, try to take some more vitamin D because we're getting less sun. Those are also some things you can do as well. So these are some strategies that will help you uh, manage and do better emotionally with all this political rhetoric. A couple of things that are important for you guys to know as we're engaging this political uh, rhetoric and reality. One is we got to separate facts from fiction in the media. I first encourage critical thinking. It's good to question the sources of information and look for evidence to support the claims. Okay. And I want to be clear, critical thinking is not the same as being someone who questions everything. Because you can question everything all the way up to dumb decisions. Having good questions is not the same as questioning, because one is filled with doubt. Question is like, I'm searching for truth. I'm searching for more information. And it is curiosity. I have learned with some of my personal friends who we may differ in some political issues, is to really take a time to understand their worldview. Understanding, let me get this straight. Trying to understand does not mean agreement. It's more like there could be a couple of valid points, and I understand why you feel that way. It's a way of taking back these conversations into a healthier form. But you have to think critically. Where are the sources? What information where's it come from? It's the place where it's coming from is it seem to be biased towards one side or the other more. And we got to be careful because we love to fling towards things that make us feel good. Okay. Second is fact checking. Use reputable fact checking websites and resources to verify information. And there are those out there. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think I wrote some in there, but we'll definitely put it as we put the podcast. We'll put some resources and websites we know are uh, less biased and more neutral, right? Check where it's from. Like if you get information about the population, well, the Census Bureau is generally a good place to find that because it's the public records of census, right? If we're looking at certain facts, there are legitimate sites. There are legitimate places where you can find facts and information that are unbiased, right? Or least biased. The third is taking media literacy. Develop understanding of how media biases and how they can influence information presented. The world of marketing and advertisement is especially good at twisting information for sales. And some of that's being used to engage in certain discourse and certain sides of issues. And again, I'm not saying don't believe those sides, but before you take a stance, be aware of how you could be tripped. No one is beyond being tricked. That doesn't mean that people are tricked all the time. Different thing. But knowing like what are some of the risks in media that I should be careful so I don't have bad information. Simple as that. Okay. Have a diversity of sources. Seek out diverse perspectives and avoid relying solely on one source of information. One source is not enough. Um, in fact, I always encourage if you have a certain issue you're passionate about, allow yourself to get information on the side that is for you and a healthy side that is against your view. And try to look at not do you agree with all of it, but it's like in the opposite view, are there some things that are reasonable or that could make sense to some people? Because what you're doing is you're allowing your mind to expand, to be more open-minded. You may never change your opinion, but it gives you a different appreciation. It doesn't polarize it or stigmatize the other person as much. Having a diversity of information keeps you better informed. Now, we got the upcoming holidays. We're about to talk to people. We don't know how we're going to feel before or after. It is important to foster civil dialogue across different partisan lines. Some tips to help you with that. One is active listening. What is active listening? Is paying attention to the other person's perspective and try to understand not your point of view, their point of view. What that means is, let's say, take this water bottle. I believe all water bottles should be clear, and uh, my opponent thinks that all water bottles should be solid color, right? Well, if my friend from the solid color point of view is sharing his point of view, I have to hear like why. Let me understand why he thinks this is the best way for water bottles to come out, not why I interpret his view to be. Because it's easy to be like, the difference is, okay, well, I can see why Joe thinks that this is, and I can see why he appreciates certain tones, certain things, and while for his needs, it may be better. That's active listening to understand the point of view. Was not understanding a point of view or was interpreting someone's point of view, they say like, well, Joe thinks this, but his idea is stupid from the bat. Allow yourself to think about it. Again, you may not change your position, but it allows you to have a more civil conversation. Where if you're listening to the other, there's a higher chance the other person will also listen to your perspective as well. Second, empathy and respect, guys. I remember as a young man, even living in Dominican Republic, seeing American politics were on display internationally, and I remember a time where there was dialogue and discourse. I wouldn't say there wasn't people that were partisan, but there was more of a dialogue and stability to it. And I think it's important to get back to that. And that requires empathy and respect. Treat others with respect. Again, respecting doesn't mean you have to agree with them. Even if you disagree, just try to understand their experiences. That's going to lead to a better conversation. If I come talking to you assuming that you're just an idiot, our conversation is not going to, that's not respectful. That's not me helping understand your point of view, and that's me judging you. And that's not going to lead to a good conversation. Third way to have a better conversation is to focus on common ground, right? Um, what are the things in, well, taking the water bottle example. Well, what's the common thing? Well, we both love water bottles. Yes, water, the content of water in the bottle is important to us. It's the display that's the issue that we have a difference. Well, let's talk about what do we love about how amazing a water bottle is and how great it is that it keeps your water cool, and how awesome that is versatile. When we focus on those things, we can look at those differences from a different perspective. Again, it doesn't mean we're going to change our minds, but it doesn't make the other person automatically the enemy. Okay. The other thing is avoid personal attacks. There's something that I have seen a lot in conversations with my patients and others when it comes to politics. Stay focused on the issues and avoid insulting in language. And it's even sad to see that some of the public officials or people within the parties that are doing a lot of attacking. Even some of the ads. I mean, I got children in between shows. They put ads, and it can be like, "Well, that person sucks," and that person this. That's a personal attack. That doesn't point an argument. And when you're insulting, what you're saying is, I don't want to talk to you. I think you're stupid. And I don't know anyone's gonna be like, oh my God, you think I'm stupid? Of course I want you to tell me what to do. That's not gonna happen. That's gonna close up a conversation. Again, if we have a civil dialogue, we can understand each other better, even if we're still passionate on our side, right? But it's become this attack. Look, friends, I have friends from different political lines. They are my friends and I love them regardless. Period. Right? We have issues, we have differences in, but they are still great human beings. Me calling them dumb or stupid because they're more conservative or liberal, whatever you want to call it, I'm starting to dehumanize them, and I wouldn't want to be dehumanized. So consider that. During this time is important, especially before election, to prioritize your self-care. I'm going a little quick on this. Please prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It is important because it improves your cognitive function. You're about to make some decisions. that are important to you and that affect everybody in this country. Engage in some form of exercise, walk around. If you got a trampoline in the back, do trampoline. If you want to do some yoga or something like that, some kind of activity that you enjoy, because it's going to help regulate stress. It reduces anxiety. It helps improve your mood. It boosts energy levels. Again, we go to mindfulness, another strategy to take care of yourself. Engage in meditation, breath work as well, because they reduce anxiety and calm the mind. And eat a balanced diet to fuel your body with nutritious food to support your mental and physical well-being. It is important for you to take care of yourself. So, in conclusion, we're building resilience in uncertain times, navigating the fears, these anxieties that are coming up with this election season. It requires you to be intentional. And I use the word proactive in my presentation, but I like the word intentional, to taking care of yourself, to be resilient, right? Fostering an emotional well-being and starting to adapt and take healthy habits like critical thinking and how to navigate these challenging times with greater strength and how to have a civil dialogue will give you strength and clarity. Here at Alex Brito Counseling, we're committed to your health and mental well-being. Please visit us at alexbritocounseling.com for more resources support on your own personal growth journey. One of our main reasons for existing is that we want to help diverse families heal and thrive. That is, you call us. We would love to see how we can work with you and help you out. Your mental health is a priority, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you in our next episode.